Hi everyone, welcome to the Buffett and Beyond Weekly ETF video letter, and this is ending Friday, September 1st, 2023. Goodbye summer. And we're going over the technology ETF today, which is up 42% year to date. So we're really doing some great work here in these ETFs. And remember, folks, if you want to live on the beach like Jimmy Buffett, you've got to learn how to invest even better than Warren Buffett. So let's talk about our hedging technique, because one, we could buy the top stocks. Then we stay long these stocks unless we change, add, or delete a stock, which we do every now and then, not too often. But we buy the best stocks according to the clean surplus methodology. And number three, we will use our intermediate term technical signals to short the ETF itself. So when the signal turns down, we short the ETF. When the signal turns back up, we buy back the short ETF. Meanwhile, we hold those top stocks, usually 5 to 6 to 7 stocks, all the time. And we just hedge them when the signals turn down. And we continue to always hold those top stocks. So let's see what the technology ETF is doing right now. And you can see we had this decline in here, and then the market turned around and took off. And this was pretty easy in here because we got a good buy signal over here, and we got a buy signal down here. So if we were short the ETF itself, we would have gotten rid of the short ETF and just let those top 5 stocks, in this case we have 5 stocks of the technology ETF, let them run. So right now they're on the way up, and hopefully this rally continues for a nice way, because the market, the S&P 500, the QQQs, and the Dow are all looking very similar to this chart down here, and this is our intermediate term indicator. So what have we done over the past 1 year? Now this is buy and hold. Over the past 1 year, black line is the S&P 500 up about 18%, and the XLK, the technology ETF, is up about 42%. Now we have this little buy signal down here, which we showed you before. Now let's see, over 5 years, has the technology ETF outperformed the S&P 500? Yeah, by more than 2 to 1. Again, black line is the S&P 500, and this is the technology ETF up here. Let us look over the stocks. We have 5 stocks this year, and this is one of the few times where the ETF is doing just about as well as our top pick, our top stocks. Now, there are 2 timing methods. One is we're short the ETF all the time, and we're long our top 5, 6, or 7 stocks all the time. So last year, well, we'll go over that the next slide, but had we been short the ETF and long the top stocks, we would only be up about 1.7%. However, if we wanted to hedge and we timed the short positions, and we'll go over a chart of how we do that, we would be up 41.7%. So the question is, and this is a tough question, folks, do you want to be long the stocks because you take your bumps when the market goes down, and we're going to see that in a minute, or do you hedge by being short the ETF and long the better stocks in that ETF? As of this moment right now, we'd only be up 1.7%. Had we just bought the 5 stocks, we'd be up 42.7%. Had we hedged, we would have hedging in place, but we would be up 41.7%. So the difference is we are either hedged all the time, or we come down here and we're timing the hedges, and we'll show you that in a second. So this is 2022. The XLK was down, the technology ETF was down 28%, the S&P was down almost 20%, our top stocks were down 26%. Had we been short, in other words, had we been hedged, we would have made this 28% here, and we would have lost the 26% here. So last year, when even the S&P was down 19.5%. The QQQs were down, remember, 33%. Yeah, 33%. This hedged portfolio would have been down 1.9%. Had we timed the hedging, now this is back tested, had we timed the hedging, then we would have been up 29%, because for 2022, guess what? The market was down pretty much almost all year, wasn't it? Yeah, so had we timed the hedging, we would have actually gained 29%. We actually would have gained 56% on the hedges and down 26% on our long stocks, for a total of plus 29.4%. So that's assuming we got these hedges perfectly right, not perfectly right, but partially right every time the market went down. Now, here's how you do it. This is this year now, and we're mostly up in an uptrend here. Now we use both this indicator, relative strength indicator, up here, and we use the MACD down here, which is our intermediate term indicator. So we would have gone short somewhere around here, and then taken the short off somewhere around here, putting the short up somewhere around here. And when I say somewhere around here, let's look at this area up here. Would we have gone short here, or would we have waited and gone short here? Actually, everything said to go short here. Once that crossover takes place, you either go long or you go short. So we would have gone short here, but when did we get back in? Pretty much here. That's why this timing sounds good and it looks good on paper, but when you actually do it, which I actually did, then we broke even here. Actually, we were down about 1% in this whole year. Then we went short here and we went long here. And we got whipsawed right in here a little bit. So all in all, when we went short, we only gained about 1%. But at least we were hedged. Now let's look at some of these returns and compare if we were short the ETF all the time or timing the short. So if we were long the stocks right here, we'd be up 42%, which is nice. So here we are. Okay, we're just long those top 5 stocks. Had we been short, had we been hedged like we were last year, we would only be up 1.7%. So when we were timing the short, like in the last slide, we lost 1% on those shorts, but we still had those long stocks. We would have been up 41.7%. So the question is, do you hedge all the time? Do you not hedge at all? Or do you try to time the hedge? Let's look at the semiconductor. Well, the semiconductor is up. The semiconductor ETF for this year is up 27.9%. The stocks, our top 5 or 6 stocks, are up 74%. So had we been hedged, short the ETF, long the stocks, we'd still be up 46.9%. That's without doing anything. You're short all the time, and you're long the stocks all the time. You're short the ETF all the time, you're long the stocks all the time. We'd be up 46%. But don't forget, in the technology, we would only be up 1.7%. With the transport, we would be up 27% or 28%. But if you were just long the stocks without hedging, you'd be up 44%. So what are we seeing? We're seeing that, with healthcare, we would be up 16.7%, but if we're long or short, we'd be up 18.5%. And with home builders, the home builder top stocks are up 39%. And if we were long or if we were short the ETF and long the stocks, we'd actually be down a negative 0.3%. So this is a hard question to answer. Do you want to be short and long? Do you want to be long only? Or do you want to time the short as we go along? So remember, here's the example again. We showed you this, that last year, this is 2022, if we were short the ETF, we would have gained 28% and lost 26.6% on our stocks. So last year, being hedged, we would have been down 1.9%. However, for this year, with the index up 41%, if we were hedged like last year, which really saved us, right now we would only be up 1.7%. Now let's go back again. If we are timing the short for last year, we would be up 29%. For this year, we would be up 41.7% by timing that short. So in this case, with the technology, it was good to be hedged last year. It was good to be timing the hedge last year. And for this year, it would be best to be timing the hedge. But for those other stocks we saw, let's go back to them, we would see that in some cases, short the ETF, long the stocks. This year we'd be up 46% in the semiconductors. We'd be up 27% in the transports, up 18% in the healthcare, and down 0.3% in the home builders. So yes, we have a question here, folks, and the question is, do you just go long the best stocks? Do you go short the ETF and long the best stocks? Or do you try to time shorting the ETF and being long the stocks? No matter which situation you choose, you will be long the stocks all the time, the top stocks, and that works very, very well for us. So no matter what you do, whether you just go long the stocks or whether you hedge all the time or whether you hedge partially, there are different returns for those hedging. Some people say, I don't want to lose money, so I want to be hedged all the time. I'd rather not make money than be in a situation like last year when I could have lost 26% if I was just long the stocks. So yeah, most of you say, I want some kind of hedge. The question is, do you hedge constantly or do you time the hedge? That's the magic question. So that gives you something to think about over this 3-day weekend. So folks, remember, if you want to live on this beach like Jimmy Buffett, you've got to learn how to invest even better than Warren Buffett. Okay, folks, enjoy your weekend, and most of all, stay safe. We'll be back here on Tuesday because don't forget, Monday's a holiday, so go out and celebrate. All right, folks, we'll see you next week.